For over 4 decades, Meryl Streep has been the shining star of Hollywood, an actress whose talent and dedication are unmatched. She has captivated audiences with her performances, whether it is in the heart-wrenching drama of Sophie's Choice, the political intensity of The Iron Lady, or the nuanced domestic tension in Big Little Lies. Over the years, she has built a reputation not only for her extraordinary acting skills, but also for her strict standards and high expectations on set. While many actors dream of working alongside her, it is well known within Hollywood that Streep is a woman who does not tolerate carelessness, laziness, or disrespect for the craft. She does not need to raise her voice to make her point. Her silence can be far more powerful than any outburst. When she is displeased with a colleague, it is rarely discussed openly, but the message is clear: cross her, and your next opportunity to work with her may disappear. For this reason, a few of the world's most famous actors, despite their talent, found themselves quietly excluded from future projects with Streep. Her decisions are rarely scandalous or public, but her selective collaboration speaks volumes. Over the years, she has worked with some of the greatest names in Hollywood: Dustin Hoffman, Daniel Day-Lewis, Tom Hanks, Leonardo DiCaprio, and built legendary on-screen chemistry. Yet, the actors who failed to meet her standards often found that one poor dynamic, one clash of methods or personalities, could end a professional relationship permanently. The 6 actors who, for various reasons, never returned to work with her again illustrate this truth perfectly. From method actors who pushed boundaries too far to co-stars whose energy clashed with her own, these examples show that Streep values not just talent but precision, professionalism, and respect for the collaborative process. In an industry often dominated by ego and loud personalities, she stands out for her quiet authority and her insistence on artistic integrity. While Hollywood is filled with stories of feuds and public confrontations, Streep's approach is different. She communicates her standards silently and lets her actions speak louder than words. To understand why these 6 actors were effectively removed from her inner circle, it is important to examine each case in detail, starting with the one of Dustin Hoffman, whose intense method acting created tension during their collaboration on Kramer vs. Kramer. Their on-screen performances were celebrated, but off-screen, the emotional strain and disagreements over acting approach created a rift that was never repaired. Streep, young and grieving the loss of a loved one at the time, experienced the brunt of Hoffman's uncompromising style, which included staying in character at all times, improvising lines, and even physically startling her during scenes to provoke emotional authenticity. Although the result was remarkable and earned both actors critical acclaim, the personal cost was high, and the two never worked together again. This story highlights a central truth about Streep: excellence is expected, but boundaries must be respected. Crossing those boundaries quietly ends opportunities, even if the work itself is praised by audiences and critics alike. The subtlety with which she handles such situations only enhances her legendary status, making these quiet exclusions all the more impactful and memorable within the film industry. Another example of a fractured collaboration involves Bruce Willis, the action star known for his charisma and loose, instinctive style. In the 1992 dark comedy Death Becomes Her, Streep starred opposite Willis in a role that combined her dramatic talent with comedic timing. While the film performed well, insiders report that the on-set dynamic was far from harmonious. Streep, meticulous and precise, approached each scene with a careful study of the script, analyzing every gesture and line, ensuring that every nuance aligned with the story and her character's truth. Willis, in contrast, favored spontaneity and improvisation, leaning on instinct rather than rigorous preparation. According to reports, this difference in approach caused a subtle but persistent tension that never fully resolved. Scenes that should have felt natural were often disjointed, with Streep's measured rhythm colliding with Willis's free-flowing energy. Directors and crew members had to work hard to reconcile the two approaches, but even when the film was completed, the mismatch remained visible to those with an eye for performance. Streep reportedly found Willis's style frustrating, not because he lacked talent, but because their artistic philosophies clashed. While she never publicly criticized him, She quietly chose never to collaborate with him again, making it clear through action rather than words that their professional styles were incompatible. Willis, on the other hand, respected her abilities but moved further into roles that played to his strengths, avoiding ensemble dramas and the kind of disciplined, character-driven work that Streep excels in. This incident demonstrates Streep's strategic use of silence. She does not need to create drama, issue statements, or engage in public disputes. Her professional choices send a clear message. If someone cannot match her intensity or respect the collaborative process, they will find themselves quietly excluded from future opportunities. The pattern repeats with other actors as well, including Jack Nicholson in Heartburn, Tommy Lee Jones in Hope Springs, Ben Affleck in various political or dramatic discussions, and Adrian Grenier in The Devil Wears Prada. Each case has its own nuances, but all share the same principle. Streep values preparation, emotional honesty, and engagement with her craft, and she will not compromise these standards. Whether it is method acting taken too far, a lack of precision, or simply a mismatch of energy, crossing the invisible line in her world can end a professional relationship permanently. These exclusions are rarely dramatic, rarely public, but they are highly effective. Hollywood insiders note that working with Streep is a privilege, and with privilege comes accountability. While other stars may thrive on gossip, public feuds, or headlines, Streep operates in a quieter, more controlled manner. Her reputation is maintained not only by her performances, but also by her careful management of professional relationships. This combination of excellence and quiet authority is why so many actors aspire to work with her multiple times, and why the few who fail to meet her standards often fade from her circle. Understanding these 6 actors, therefore, offers more than just celebrity gossip. It reveals the inner workings of a professional mind that prioritizes integrity, discipline, and artistic commitment above all else. For Streep, the loudest statement is often made not in words but in absence, showing the power of quiet professionalism in an industry obsessed with noise. Jack Nicholson is one of Hollywood's most iconic actors, a performer whose energy, spontaneity, and raw intensity have defined generations of cinema. When Meryl Streep starred opposite him in the 1986 drama Heartburn, their on-screen chemistry was undeniable, but off-screen, the story was very different. Streep, known for her meticulous preparation and careful study of every line, gesture, and emotional beat, approached her roles with a level of discipline few could match. Nicholson, by contrast, thrived on improvisation and instinct. He often adapted scenes spontaneously, injecting energy and unpredictability into his performances. While this approach has delighted audiences for decades, it clashed sharply with Streep's methodical style. Crew members reported that from day one, the atmosphere on set was tense, marked by small, almost imperceptible frictions rather than dramatic arguments. Scenes would occasionally feel off, with one actor adhering closely to the script and emotional precision, while the other responded in bursts of raw, unplanned emotion. Streep reportedly found Nicholson's unpredictability challenging to work with. She was not the type to confront her co-stars publicly, and Nicholson was never criticized in the press or by Streep herself. Instead, her body language, tone, and quiet distance conveyed the disapproval that words might have made loud. By the time production wrapped, it was clear to those observing that their professional paths would not cross again. Even during award seasons or ensemble projects, they never shared stages or panels. Streep's silence acted as the ultimate statement, a method that ensured her standards were maintained without creating headlines or controversy. While Nicholson continued to thrive in his roles and Streep in hers, the pairing was a reminder of how different acting philosophies can shape collaborations. It was not a public feud or scandal, but a quiet recognition of incompatibility. Streep's approach demonstrates that professionalism sometimes requires distance, and that a lack of alignment in work ethics can be more significant than personal charm, reputation, or past accolades. The Heartburn experience highlights a pattern repeated throughout her career. Actors who could not meet her level of preparation, focus, or engagement were quietly sidelined, and Nicholson, despite his brilliance, became a classic example of this principle. To understand the depth of Streep's standards, It is essential to recognize that she values collaboration, emotional honesty, and commitment to character above all. If a co-star, no matter how famous, disrupts that balance, she does not create public drama. She simply ensures that future work together will not happen. Nicholson's story serves as a compelling illustration of this approach, revealing that in Meryl Streep's world, skill alone is not enough. The alignment of work ethic and mutual respect is what truly sustains professional relationships. Tommy Lee Jones, another celebrated actor, is renowned for his gruff demeanor, blunt honesty, and private nature. When Meryl Streep worked with him on the 2012 drama Hope Springs, a story about a long-married couple attempting to rediscover intimacy, the contrast between their approaches became apparent quickly. Streep is known for her openness, collaborative energy, and investment in exploring emotional nuances in each scene. Jones, on the other hand, values efficiency, minimal words, and a no-nonsense approach to acting. On the set of Hope Springs, these differing styles resulted in a chilly atmosphere. Sources report that Streep attempted to engage Jones in discussion about subtext, alternate line readings, and subtle emotional beats, but he often responded with short answers or silence. There was little small talk, no laughter, and minimal rehearsal bonding, which are typically essential for Streep to achieve the intimate performances she is known for. While Jones was never confrontational, the lack of connection made it difficult for Streep to establish the level of trust she requires with co-stars. For her, this absence of engagement was significant enough to affect future considerations. She reportedly had no interest in working with him again. Interviews and press appearances reflect this distance. They were rarely photographed together, participated in separate press junkets, and did not collaborate on other projects afterward. Despite the critical success of Hope Springs, the professional relationship was effectively a one-time engagement. Jones's approach, which works wonderfully for him with other co-stars, simply did not match the precision and emotional openness Streep demands. This example underscores her principle that talent alone does not guarantee continued collaboration. What matters to Streep is not only performance, but also the way actors contribute to the creative process, respect the shared craft, and align with her level of preparation and engagement. In Hollywood, where on-set personalities often dominate headlines, Streep's method of quietly disengaging is both effective and subtle. She does not need to make public statements or issue criticism. Her choices speak for themselves. For actors like Tommy Lee Jones, this means that while they may enjoy fame and success, the door to working with Streep again is closed without drama or explanation. The story demonstrates her strategic approach. She maintains control over her projects, preserves the artistic integrity of her films, and ensures that her collaborators match her intensity and professionalism. It is a reflection of her high standards, her respect for the craft, and her preference for quiet authority over public disputes. Ben Affleck, though never having shared a film scene with Meryl Streep, is another example of a professional relationship quietly curtailed. Their disconnect began in the context of Hollywood politics rather than on-set dynamics. In 2017, during a time of heightened political tension, Streep delivered a high-profile speech at the Golden Globes criticizing then-President Donald Trump. Affleck was asked for his opinion on the matter and responded with a casual remark, calling Streep overrated. Although he later clarified that the comment was intended as sarcasm, the timing caused a subtle rift in perception. Streep, known for her discretion, did not respond publicly. She never addressed the comment in interviews or social media, and the result was a quiet distancing between the two. While this may appear minor compared to on-set conflicts, it illustrates a key element of Streep's professional philosophy. She does not engage in public arguments, but she makes careful choices about collaboration. Opportunities that may have brought her into contact with Affleck, such as potential political thrillers or ensemble projects, quietly disappeared or were declined. Even at award ceremonies, red carpets, or public events, the two rarely interacted, and any interactions were formal and polite rather than warm or friendly. This approach, subtle as it is, communicates her standards and boundaries more effectively than words. Streep operates in a world where professional choices carry as much weight as public statements, and Affleck's case highlights that even perceived disrespect or mismatch in values can result in permanent distancing. It is not a feud, not a scandal, and certainly not gossip. It is a calculated and deliberate approach to maintaining personal and professional integrity. In Hollywood, where connections, networking, and public image often drive collaboration, Streep's method is remarkable for its quiet decisiveness. She allows absence to communicate where words might fail or create unnecessary noise. For someone as meticulous and deliberate as Streep, this approach ensures that all professional relationships align with her values, artistic goals, and expectations for collaboration. Affleck, respected and accomplished as he is, therefore became one of the rare figures in Hollywood who, despite proximity to high-profile projects and events, exists on the periphery of her professional sphere. Adrian Grenier, known to many as a charming young actor and television heartthrob, is another example of Meryl Streep's quietly decisive approach to collaboration. Their paths crossed during the filming of The Devil Wears Prada in 2006, where Grenier played the character Nate, who served as a supporting figure and, in many ways, a moral center for the story. While the film achieved critical acclaim and commercial success, insiders report that Streep, who played the formidable Miranda Priestley, was not entirely impressed with Grenier's performance style. Streep, meticulous and deeply invested in her roles, reportedly found Grenier's relaxed approach too casual for the tone she wished to set on set. He would occasionally improvise or bring a laid-back energy that clashed with Streep's precise line readings and emotional subtlety. Because Streep often had a strong voice in casting and role adjustments, she allegedly influenced the reduction of Nate's character presence, ensuring that the focus remained tightly aligned with the central narrative and her vision of character dynamics. While Grenier did not appear to take offense publicly, and the film continued without issue, it became clear in later projects that Streep would not include him in sequels or other collaborative opportunities. The professional distance was not dramatic. It did not involve public criticism, scandals, or disputes. Instead, it was a quiet, subtle decision, a clear example of how Streep communicates through absence rather than confrontation. For Grenier, a rising star at the time, the experience highlighted the realities of working with a legendary actor whose standards are uncompromising. Streep's approach was simple. If a co-star's energy, performance, or commitment does not match her own high expectations, future collaboration is unlikely. The decision to reduce Nate's role and exclude Grenier from subsequent projects may have seemed minor to outsiders, but in Hollywood terms, it is significant. Being left out of a sequel or ensemble project sends a clear message about standards and expectations. To Streep, talent alone is not sufficient. Alignment in professionalism, dedication, and emotional engagement is crucial. This method of quiet exclusion reinforces her reputation as someone whose decisions carry weight without ever needing a public argument. In the high-pressure, image-driven world of Hollywood, Streep's subtle authority demonstrates that silence can speak louder than words. Her choices, as illustrated by her decision regarding Adrian Grenier, reinforce her commitment to craft, her insistence on maintaining artistic integrity, and her preference for working with collaborators who match her level of intensity, preparation, and dedication. For aspiring actors and industry observers, these stories provide a clear lesson. Streep values not only talent but also reliability, respect, and a shared commitment to excellence. Meryl Streep's career is not only a testament to extraordinary talent, but also to unwavering professional standards. The 6 actors highlighted, Dustin Hoffman, Bruce Willis, Jack Nicholson, Tommy Lee Jones, Ben Affleck, and Adrian Grenier, offer a unique perspective into how she manages relationships and collaborations in Hollywood. Each case illustrates a distinct reason why a once-possible partnership ended quietly, never to be repeated. For Hoffman, it was method acting taken too far. For Willis, clashing artistic philosophies. For Nicholson, a collision of improvisation and precision. For Jones, a lack of collaborative engagement. For Affleck, political or perceptual differences. And for Grenier, a misalignment of tone and preparation. Despite the differences, one principle remains constant. Meryl Streep operates with quiet authority, using absence and discretion as her primary tools rather than public confrontation. She demonstrates that professionalism does not require drama or headlines. It requires clarity of expectation, consistency, and integrity in action. These stories also highlight an important lesson about Hollywood as a collaborative space. Talent alone is not enough. Success in working with a star of Streep's caliber requires alignment in work ethic, respect for the craft, and the ability to engage fully with the collaborative process. While the industry often celebrates loud personalities, public feuds, and sensational stories, Streep's approach shows the power of subtlety, discipline, and the weight of a carefully considered professional reputation. She communicates through choices rather than words, teaching that sometimes the most profound statements are made by who is included and who is quietly left out. By examining these 6 actors and the circumstances that ended their collaborations, we gain insight into a star who is not only a master of performance, but also a master of discretion and professional integrity. Meryl Streep's legacy is not only in the roles she inhabits or the awards she has won, but also in her commitment to maintaining the highest standards in every aspect of her work. In a world dominated by spectacle and noise, she has shown that true influence comes from precision, control, and the courage to make difficult choices, even when they go unnoticed by the public. The stories of these 6 actors remind us that working with the best requires more than talent. It requires respect, preparation, and the ability to meet a standard that only a few can achieve. In the end, Meryl Streep teaches both fans and colleagues that excellence is not measured solely by applause, but by the quiet integrity with which it is pursued and maintained. Her silence, her absence, and her selectivity are not acts of hostility. They are expressions of a professional philosophy that values the art of acting above all else. For those who aspire to greatness, understanding her methods and decisions offers a powerful lesson. In a career built on collaboration, it is the quiet choices that often speak the loudest. For over 40 years, Meryl Streep has been Hollywood royalty. From Sophie's Choice to Big Little Lies, she has defined acting excellence. But behind the scenes, she is equally known for something else: her high standards and uncompromising expectations. Some of Hollywood's biggest stars have felt the weight of her quiet judgment. Today, we're revealing 6 actors Meryl Streep quietly cut from her world and why they never worked with her again. Stick around, some of these stories might surprise you. When Kramer vs. Kramer hit theaters in 1979, it was a cinematic triumph. Streep and Dustin Hoffman gave career-defining performances, but the real drama happened behind the scenes. Hoffman, a committed method actor, stayed in character between takes, improvised lines, and pushed Streep emotionally. At the time, Streep was grieving a personal loss, and the intensity overwhelmed her. There were moments when Hoffman physically startled her or yelled off-camera to provoke emotion. While their chemistry on screen was electric, their personal dynamic fractured. Streep later described it as an education, but one where she became a casualty. The result? They never worked together again. No films, no stage, no interviews. The performance was legendary, but the relationship was quietly broken forever. In 1992, Streep starred alongside Bruce Willis in Death Becomes Her, a black comedy. On paper, the pairing seemed perfect, but on set, their approaches clashed. Streep is meticulous, dissecting every line and gesture. Willis is instinctual and loose. The contrast created tension, long pauses between takes, missed cues, and scenes that felt slightly off. Streep reportedly found his improvisational style frustrating, while Willis focused on flow over precision. No public arguments occurred, but the outcome was clear. They never collaborated again. Their paths diverged, and the silent divide became part of Streep's professional story. Jack Nicholson, legendary for his raw energy and improvisation, starred opposite Streep in Heartburn. On screen, their chemistry sparked, but off-screen, the contrast was striking. Streep prepared every nuance. Nicholson thrived on spontaneity. Crew members reported immediate friction. Streep focused on emotional honesty, Nicholson on big energy. While there was no dramatic feud, The tension was palpable. Once production wrapped, their collaboration ended. Streep's quiet disapproval